Well, this is not a kid's movie. Hello, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing Disney Pixar's latest movie, Soul. From my understanding, a lot of people are excited about this because it's the first black character within a Disney movie. Soul's about a middle-aged music teacher who's kind of lost his passion and his way, and he ends up dying through some silly circumstances. But through that, he's transported out of his body and is his soul on the way to heaven, but he wants to head back to Earth. You've got Jamie Foxx as the main character's voice of Joe and Tina Fey as 22. This comes from Pete Docter, who directed Monsters Inc., Up, and Inside Out, which are all great 5-star films. Quick context, I don't watch any trailers or read anything about a movie before I go into watching it. So when he died, that was quite shocking. But the way he died was so comical, so slapstick, falling down a manhole. I was like, okay. So after that happens, he's transported into his soul, and he's on a conveyor belt to what's called the Great After. It's a bit of like, it's obviously meant to represent heaven, but he doesn't want to go there, so he jumps off and he ends up in a place called the Great Before, which is where essentially personalities are made to go into humans. Now, I wasn't ready for that. I went into this expecting a feel-good, happy movie, but it was far from that. I like some of the concepts and visualizations of Soul, where he's actually on the conveyor belt and going up to heaven, where eventually he will be judged. But what I didn't like is that this film was trying to say you're predetermined, your personality is already determined before you're even born. That topic is a whole nother conversation itself, but I think we can agree that a lot of your personality is made up of your surroundings and your life experiences. That led me on to the question, like, what age is this film for? As we know with Pixar movies, there's going to be jokes that only adults are going to understand, but I felt like this was very heavy. I don't understand what kid would find this movie interesting. This story and exploration is quite deep, and it's got themes and concepts that I don't even think are on kids' radar. So I don't quite understand who this is for. Kids are not really thinking about the meaning of life and it all, and they're not concerned that, oh, when I'm 50, I'm going to look back on my life as shit. That's for them to experience later on. So this was in no way relatable at all. That's why this was a bit strange to me. Yeah, it's got its elements of lightheartedness and jokes when they're on Earth, but for the most part, I felt quite down during this movie. The animation was excellent, but at this point, do we really expect anything different from Pixar? They set that bar a long time ago and have maintained it. In its most simplest terms, this was about a guy who's having a midlife crisis and wants to show you how you should appreciate every element and aspect of your life. It touched on some elements of black culture like the barbershop and jazz, but it was all very surface to me. It didn't really go into any sort of detail, and with that I felt Joe's character arc was a bit flat. We didn't really learn much about him throughout the entire movie. To me, this was a predominantly black movie that Pixar tried to make. However, why was 22 voiced by a white woman? Why could they not have got a black comedian to play that character? This was progression to a certain extent, but there's still a lot of changes that need to be made. In the end, Pixar made a movie that I thought it was a bit deeper than it actually was. The 40-year-old version that came out a few months ago is a much better version of this story. I felt like movies like Inside Out actually dealt with emotions and themes that kids would actually be interested in, whereas this is more geared towards the adult. There were some enjoyable elements to it, but in the end, I came away from the movie being like, I'm not going to remember this in a few years' time. 3 stars. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and watch some other videos.